Welcome to the Zelda Informer podcast. I am your host, Alfred, joined for our 50th episode by my wonderful co-host, Andy Spiteri.
Hello, everybody.
So this week is our 50th, but it also falls on an interesting day because this is going to be the last podcast we have for the next 2 weeks. Next week, I'm going to be swamped up in wedding stuff, and then I'm on my honeymoon. So I won't be able to record or edit, and we may have one, we may not, depending on if we can get anyone else to jump in or edit. But this week we're going to talk about some stuff. We're going to talk mostly about our predictions for E3, what we hope will happen for when Nintendo comes out. But before we do that, information came out today. It's not Zelda information, about something in particular that I'm not a fan of. And what it is Nintendo released an infographic to talk about how voice chat will work on Splatoon. So what's going to happen if you haven't seen it? I'll throw up a link, or I'll throw up the image in post and editing so you guys could see. They have a specific headset that actually looks kind of cool for Splatoon. And it goes into this device that's shaped like a squid. And one of them plugs into your headphone jack in your iPhone. I'm assuming it's going to be for Android too, but knowing Nintendo, who knows? And then the other one plugs into your Switch. There's a lot of things wrong with this. Andy, have you seen this at all?
I took a quick glance at it earlier, and it just seemed too ridiculous, so I just kept scrolling in my newsfeed.
So apparently, a few things here. The total cord length for this whole thing is only 20 inches. So unless you're pretty close to your TV, you're not going to be able to put this thing through the entire area. If you're in a living room or something and you sit pretty far back. There's some workarounds for this, obviously. Like at some point you might be able to get a Bluetooth headset and jack that into the little dongle, but you're going to have to leave your phone probably by the Switch or by the TV or whatever. All in all, this looks like one of the most impractical ways you could voice chat. And we talked a while back about how Nintendo's coming up with this really ridiculous way to do online for the Switch, where they just run through your phone, and that's how you set everything up. And it's just so stupid. And this just furthers that idea of how out of touch they are with common sense in modern gaming, that they would need to wire a headset into a phone and the Switch at the same time in order to voice chat. And you can only voice chat with your friends too. This isn't a voice chat with strangers or with people just online. It's with specific people that are on your friends list. It's just so stupid to me. It's so ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. What are your opinions on it? It's just pissing me off.
It's stupid. When they didn't have voice chat for the first Splatoon, I think the reasoning was they didn't want anybody to have a negative experience with other users. I don't know, like using curse words or something like that. That was the reasoning behind it, which is absolutely insane. That's like saying that people shouldn't have cell phones because you might get a call from someone that swears at you. It doesn't make sense. It's, this feels like something that belongs on like the early GameCube or something like that,
yeah.
Like a move that, you would do when you're figuring out how online works, not when you've had online ecosystems that have been thriving for the last decade plus. So it's a dumb move, but I mean, like, what do you expect from Nintendo at this point, right? Like when I think of Nintendo, I don't think of great online infrastructure, and they definitely haven't done anything to change that.
Well, here's the downside too: is that coming up soon, we're gonna have to start paying for online if we want to use the online. It's admittedly it's a $2 asking price, which isn't that big. That's less than a Spotify subscription as a student. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that they've done nothing in the past to prove that their internet service is good enough to be paid for.
Absolutely. I remember playing Smash Bros. Online, and it was so laggy that you couldn't even play.
Well, even more than that, like you've been able to play online with the Switch with Mario Kart 8, which works. Like, the system that's set up for is fine. Like, I don't have a problem with finding matches. The problem is really staying connected or getting connected in the first place. But ultimately, that interface is fine. I don't understand why they have to go through a phone for it. But it's just... It seems like you said, it seems like something that you would have seen back in the GameCube, like having to plug it into a specific thing in order for it to get voice chat to hook up to the internet in a different way. It already has Wi-Fi on it. If this device has Wi-Fi on it, then it can deal with a Bluetooth headset being linked up to it. Like the PlayStation 4 can do that, the Xbox can do that, even the iPhone itself can link up with a Bluetooth headset. Mm-hmm. There's things like back a long time ago, even back when before iPhones, like Blackberries and stuff, you could still hook up a Bluetooth to a Blackberry. So basically what I'm getting at here, and I know this isn't true, but this is what it's coming across as, is that the Switch is less advanced than a Blackberry. Like the phone. And that's not true, but that's how it's coming across because...
It's not true, but they just refuse to take proper steps to... I played Splatoon online, and that was fine. Staying connected I never had an issue with, but it's just ludicrous that you can't go and search for your friends online, and you can't go and join a group chat or something like that to play with. It's ludicrous. There's another word for it.
The Wii had better... support for voice chat than the Switch does. And that's really sad. Granted, you had to use a specific microphone, and it was that regular mic. I wish I had I'll put up a picture of it, but the Wii Speak, I think that's what it was called. And you could go into you could even just do Wii Speak through the Wii, at a specific channel where you could talk to your friends using the microphone. But I think this wasn't used on many games. Primarily for Animal Crossing City Folk, which is what it was bundled with, and that's what I got it for. And I talked to my friends through it when we were playing online, and that was easy. That was simple. There wasn't any extra steps. Mm-hmm. I didn't have to wire it through something stupid. You might have been able to use it for the conduit. I might be wrong on that. And while it wasn't really a headset, it was still a step in a direction that was better than what they're doing now with the Switch. The moves they're making with online really don't make sense. They haven't earned our trust to deserve a paid service. And they're only complicating it even more. This seems like it's more complicated to develop than just putting good internet and online services on the Switch. I don't
think
understand.
of it this way too. How much is it per month? I think it's something like $24 US per month or per year, right?
Yeah, something like that.
So for me, that's about $35 a year. So my Xbox Live Gold membership for the year cost me about $70. With that, you get probably the best online infrastructure that there is, and you get 3 free games every month. Mm-hmm. You get more than 3 actually. You get 4 and then 2 Xbox 360 games. So it's why am I paying half of that for a less qualified service and for no incentives about that? Now maybe there will be some incentives. But I'm jumping ahead of myself into E3. But
from what I remember,
it doesn't make much sense.
This may have been a rumor. This may have been announced. Is that Nintendo would do something like that, but they'd be demos of of virtual console games. So you know how
that's right. And then you don't keep them after.
No. It was remember when the Wii U had the Amiibo play thing where you would tap the Amiibo character and it would have a 90-second demo or whatever it was of a game, and you could play through 5 scenes of it. It's going to be, I imagine, something like that, which is...
Well, even that's ridiculous.
No, I know. I'm not
on Xbox,
justifying that at all.
Yeah, you can, I bought Tomb Raider. I got Tomb Raider for free, and I can still replay that game, and it's there forever, so... And it sucks. It's stupid.
Even the PS4, I'm planning on getting one soon, and the online, the pricing's but you still get the PS Plus games. You get a lot of discounts for having a PS Plus membership. A bunch of free games. It's just Nintendo. It's they look at what everybody else is doing and say that's great and that's working for everyone else, but we're gonna complicate it and try something different. And it's to that adage: if it's not broke, don't fix it. And they've been destroying their online, their online services since the Wii U. the Wii had okay online. Like I didn't really ever get disconnected on the Wii, and I had pretty.
I did playing Smash.
Yeah, Smash has never really had the best, but like playing Animal Crossing, I was fine. I didn't really have any connection problems there, and it just blows my mind how they're overcomplicating it and they're doing something stupid like this. It's hard to back them.
Do you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of my best friend Brent. And I love the guy to death, and I love Nintendo to death. But oftentimes I feel like he will just disagree with me on everything just on principle, just because I said it. So like, it just feels like Nintendo doing the same thing. Like, hey, like you should have an awesome online infrastructure with reasonable voice chat. Like, no, we know better. We can do it our own way. This is what it's like, and it's like whatever, man. Like,
well, it's even
it doesn't make sense, but okay.
It's worse than that because back in 2015, it was 2015 when Microsoft unveiled or even further than that, was it 2015 or 2014 when they unveiled the Xbox One?
I think that's 2014.
Probably 2014, yeah. When they unveiled the Xbox One and they were like, well, it's an always online system. You can't trade, like you can't buy used games basically. It's all these things that were really, really bad and really stupid decisions. And then they redacted pretty much all of those afterwards because fans were like, no, this is stupid. Like, none of this sounds good. You're ruining the console. You're ruining gaming for it. And then they were like, you know what? If fans aren't happy with what's going on, they're not going to buy it and they're not going to pay for it. They have to keep their market happy. Nintendo, for some reason, just doesn't see it that way. That's
the old philosophy of Nintendo, though. Going back to the video game crash in the 80s, they kind of have the philosophy where like it's like they're the big brother government. Like they know what's best for consumers, even if consumers don't know what's best for consumers. And that might have been true back in the 80s when they saved the video game market, but it's been a long time since then. So it's so weird how like they haven't changed at all in all this time. And
I mean,
yeah, like what can you say? It's dumb. I can't imagine that those squid earphone things are going to be a hot commodity.
Well, and it's difficult because you want to stay relevant in the gaming market. You want to stay relevant, period. And it seems like Nintendo's avoiding that. Like, the Switch has upped their stock price a lot. Like, they're doing great because of the Switch. But you can only ride on that for so long. Like, it's kind of the same thing we talked about, I think, last week. And with the third-party support, like, you can only have good first-party games for so long before there's a dry period. And then, what are you going to do with no third-party support? It's the same thing. It's like, you can ride on people's, like, goodwill with the Switch and how well it's doing and how good of a system it is for so long until you pull something like this. And then you'll be like, well, I'm not going to buy... excuse me, they're not going to buy an online-only game if the online sucks. Like, if in order... And here's another problem. Somebody was talking about this on a Facebook group I'm a part of, is what if you don't have a smartphone like this? Like, what if you...
Yeah, you're completely boned.
Yeah, you can't play online. You can't...
Well, the other thing, too, is, like, this probably... I don't know how this... how much battery this uses, but it probably uses enough.
Oh, yeah.
Like, are you going to have to have your phone plugged into the Switch and then have your charger plugged into your phone? Like, how many cords are we talking here? This sounds like just a jumbled mess. And then, like, if you're playing your Switch on the go, and you use this thing, I don't know, I'm assuming it can be taken portably, but then how much data does it use? It's just a mess.
Sorry, I was choking there. Yeah, I just don't understand, like, their thought process here. More than that, here's a question that I have too. I pay for pretty much basic internet for my apartment, for me and my fiance. So, like, I'm not, thousands upon thousands of megabytes or gigabytes of bandwidth. Like, I can only do so much at one time before the internet starts to kind of clog up.
Lag. Yeah.
So, if the Switch needs to be connected to the internet and the phone needs to be connected to the internet, and they're both drawing a huge amount of bandwidth, then one of those things is going to suffer. And again, I'm not really understanding what their goal is with the phone. Like, if it's going to run internet through that, and you have to connect to the app through the Switch, or what it's going to be. It's just, they're overcomplicating something that's really simple. Like what we're doing right now. I have a microphone plugged into my computer. I have a camera plugged into my computer, and I'm talking to you through Discord. This isn't a complicated setup. Like, this isn't something that, like, I have to have 3 or 4 other, like, external ports to plug in. Like, I don't have to have another port for my microphone to plug into that.
Look at this too. I don't know if you saw this. I just saw this. Nintendo just posted this 6 minutes ago. But Nintendo Switch Online, blah blah blah. Subscription also includes ongoing access to a library of classic titles with newly added online play. It launches in 2018.
Well, I think
launches in 2018.
They talked about a while back that it was going to be like the first 6 months of online were free for everyone, so to try it out. So I think it's been March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. I guess April's when it started.
I don't know if this is just that you start paying in 2018 or the service kicks in 20. Yeah, okay, so free until 2018.
Okay, so then they
so that's a little bit better. Yeah, that's better.
Again, they have in that time. Then they have to earn our trust on their online system.
It says here that the online lobby and voice chat won't be coming until 2018.
Yeah,
a free limited version of this app will be available for download in summer 2017.
There's so much more that I can complain about with this. Like, I just go on and on for hours about this, but ultimately I think it's a really stupid decision. There's no reason to do this. Back even when the PS3 was out, I had a headset for that. That was just a Bluetooth headset that connected. That was the same era as the Wii. Again, the Wii had okay voice chatting online. I just don't understand why they're taking this step back with the Switch. It doesn't make sense. Like, even from a marketing standpoint, it doesn't make sense.
It's... What can you say? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense. And the sad thing is that Nintendo's so stubborn. That this is going to be this is going to be the course that they're going to take.
Yeah, and they don't really listen to fans a lot in terms of like, okay, well, fans don't like this, so let's not do it. And that's what I'm really worried about with some of the games. Mm-hmm. One of my predictions is about Metroid. I'll go ahead and say that now. I'm really, really worried about Metroid, and the series going forward.
I want to plug something that I wrote and that I haven't released it yet, but I just wrote about 4,000 give or word take article on Metroid in the future and why it's not promoted very much, called the Metroid Conundrum. So I have some very kind of, I bet you my thoughts are going to be pretty similar to yours in that regard.
Well, I'm just worried because Nintendo, we saw this with the Metroid Federation Force. Nintendo has they talked about this at that E3 when they announced it, is that they're gonna give us stuff we want and give us stuff we didn't know we wanted. And so far, that stuff we didn't know we wanted hasn't been that good. It's
just stuff that we don't want.
Yeah, pretty much. Like,
Arms is bad for Federation Force. That game was doomed before it ever had a chance to come out.
If it just didn't have Metroid slapped on it, it'd be fine. If it wasn't Metroid Prime Federation Force, it'd have been great. Like, people would have bought it. They were like, "Oh, look, a new IP. This is cool." Or they could have even just been like, But
it was completely, like, it was doomed from the moment it was announced. I felt bad for the developers too. I remember reading an interview where they were trying to like show the positive aspects of their game, and I'm sure that it was, but like, even me, I was like, there's no way I'm buying this because it's not. And then Nintendo will go ahead and say like, oh, well, Metroid doesn't sell, so that's why we don't make it. But it's the Metroid Conundrum. The chicken and the egg thing there.
They're doing a lot of really weird things, and we'll see how crazy it gets from here on. So let's just dive straight in. In 2 weeks we get E3. Nintendo's doing a direct that's, I think, a 30-minute direct. And they typically spend 2-3 minutes on each topic. So that's roughly 7 or 8 topics, depending on how well they rattle stuff off. I don't understand what's half an hour. I should just go full hour. But again, I'd rather them not have a direct at all. I want them to be at E3. But I'm not complaining about that. Just nope. All right. So, Andy, give us your first prediction. We don't actually have any punishments yet. We'll talk about that afterwards. After we do like a reaction to it.
Leave some comments and we'll take your suggestions for them.
Yeah, like I said last week or the week before, we'll actually do these punishments because we're not having staff shifts and changes now. As far as I know, everything's staying the same. We don't have to worry about changing the show. So we're good to go. So go for it.
All right. So I've ranked my list in the order of the most likely to happen and to least likely / I just really hope it happens / pipe dream kind of thing. So I think that one thing that is almost assuredly that we're going to get at E3 is a release date for Mario Odyssey and a release date for the Zelda DLC.
Okay. I can see that.
So I was expecting, I think we're all expecting late November for Mario Odyssey. Zelda will be coming up probably 2-3 weeks after that in December, I would imagine. Maybe after Christmas.
I guess I'll go with my first or second one. Nintendo, I think that they're going to outline their plans for their online service, describing the quote-unquote simple process of connecting with your phone. Just to discuss it and just to bring it up and talk about it and say, hey, this is what it's going to look like. This is what you're going to have to do. It's going to be really simple, really easy.
And it won't be at all.
No, yeah. I feel like they'll do that because they want to get ahead of all the bad press that's coming out, and it's just going to hurt them even more. But that's what they're going to do. They're going to talk about it, I think, and we'll see how that goes.
Okay. Next one, which I think is also a pretty safe bet, is we're going to see Pokemon Stars announced. Maybe it won't be called Pokemon Stars, but there'll definitely be the next Pokemon game in that line.
I should have done that one first. That was my first one. See, I'm thinking that we're going to see footage or some sort of promo for the new Animal Crossing game for the phone, since they've been talking about that a lot, and we knew that was in development during the Fire Emblem Heroes game. I think we're going to hear about the Animal Crossing for the phone.
I have something similar like that down on my list. It's way down actually, but maybe I'll just go ahead and say it now. I think that the Animal Crossing mobile game is going to be ready for download that day. E3, it's going to be ready, just kind of like how the Smash DLC was not last year, but the year before with Roy and Mewtwo. Or was it last year?
No, it was about a year or two ago.
Yeah, okay, that's 2 years ago. But anyways, how they were ready like that day to download. This is somewhere down there on my list, so I wouldn't feel extremely confident in this, but I think that it's going to be ready to go that day.
And we were talking about this earlier. Then, I think that Nintendo will announce a Metroid game. I left this vague because I didn't say Metroid Prime or anything like that. I think that they're going to announce some sort of Metroid game that's in development, or they're going to show. Like, I'm trying to leave this general because this one is one that I'm not very sure about at all.
This is a Hail Mary. I have that on my list, but it's literally at the bottom of the list for like what I think will happen.
I think that they'll announce a Metroid game for the Switch. In some way, shape, or form. We're going to see Metroid on the Switch.
God, that would be so good. I would, what they could. I'll pay $100 a year for online service if they announce a Metroid game at E3. I don't care.
I mean, even if it's just like, hey guys, we remastered the entire Metroid Prime trilogy. Here it is on the Switch. Like
it's a HD port of Super Metroid. Yep.
Like stuff like that would be fine. So that's my third one. What's your fourth?
Okay, so Super Smash Bros. Will get a port to the Switch with all of the DLC included, plus new characters and stages, very much in the same vein as Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and they will give it a real name. So Super Smash Bros. Whack-A-Mole or something like that instead of for Wii U and for 3DS. Bonus points, my boys, the Ice Climbers, are coming back. Which I guess aren't boys, but they're boy and girl. So my dudes, the Ice Climbers.
I think that we're going to see Skyrim for the Switch. And they're going to show it off, or they're going to announce a date for it. But it's going to be the original version, just with all the DLC. So like a Game of the Year edition. But it won't be the special edition.
Good call.
I know that one's really specific, so if like any of that's wrong, I get that whole thing wrong, but that's just what I see. I see Nintendo being like, we've got Switch or Skyrim for the Switch. It's the original version of the game for the DLC, and they're trying to build it up like there's something special. But they're not going to have the special edition on it. I just don't see that happening.
I think if they were gonna, I think they would have said it by now if it was a special edition.
Yeah.
The fact that they haven't yet definitely leads me to believe that it's probably just the regular version, and they're hoping that by not kind of saying that, maybe that'll get lost in the noise at E3 with everything else that's there. So yeah, I agree with that. I didn't even think of Skyrim though. That's a good call.
I think that they're going to say that all the DLC is included. Like at this point, that's not. They shouldn't make you pay for the DLC for Skyrim.
I think it'll be the Game of the Year edition. Yeah, for sure.
Kind of like there's another game that's coming out that's got all the DLC attached to it right now for the Switch. I don't know what it is, but I just imagine that that's what it's going to be like. All the DLC will be packed in.
Cave Story?
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. All the whatever it is, all the DLC is packed into it, and it's good to go.
I think that's Cave Story Plus, which is a cool game, by the way. It's a cool Metroidvania game, if anyone's wondering. Okay, so speaking of DLC, the precedent was set by Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I think that we will see a season pass for Splatoon 2 that will be somewhere in the price range of like $25, and you get all of your DLC with Splatoon 2 right there.
Yeah, I hope it's cheap. I don't like the fact that Shadows of Valentia is like $45. I think that's the price of, if not more than the game.
Well, I mean, Splatoon 2, like, really, what are you going to have for DLC? You're going to have new weapons and stages. Pretty much. And maybe like a new mode or something like that.
Story content.
I didn't play a whole lot of Splatoon after it came out originally, so I only kind of dipped my toe into the DLC in the months after, so I don't know if there's any other big
DLC
features.
DLC was free.
There's a lot of free updates for it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I could see them doing free DLC. I just don't know if they'll do paid. But you think they'll do paid DLC?
I think they'll do paid DLC, and I think it has to be something else other than weapons and stages.
Okay.
Or if it is just weapons and stages, it has to be like frequently, consistently, and something to make it something like the type of stage that's going to make it worth it, not just like the old stages from Splatoon 2 that are now on the Switch, or from Splatoon 1 that are now on the Switch.
Yeah. Okay. I think Nintendo's going to announce the SNES Classic Edition. I think that's what we're going to see. I don't think we're going to see a virtual console. I mean, that's not one of my predictions for this. I just don't think we're going to see one. I think that they're going to push the SNES Classic edition. Say that, hey guys, we saw your response to the NES Classic Edition. Here's the SNES Classic Edition. Go wild.
Okay.
I just think, based on what we've seen, Xbox or Microsoft released a survey talking about the SNES edition or something like that. And
that was really strange, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's been a lot of clues leading up to the fact that Nintendo might be releasing one. So I feel like that's a possibility, and if they were going to do anything about it, it'd be released it'd be talked about during E3, not released during E3.
Okay. I'm going to sandwich two predictions into one here because mine kind of goes with what you just said, and I also wanted to throw something else in there. I'm going to go the opposite road of you. I don't think that they're going to announce the SNES Classic. I specifically don't think that they'll announce it, just because I think that a lot of people just have that bad taste in their mouth left over from the NES Classic. So, honestly, I think it's more likely that they say the NES Classic is going to go back in stock than announce the SNES Classic. And like piggybacking off that, sorry for the kind of 2-in-1 here, but they're going to announce the Virtual Console for Switch.
See, I feel like they wouldn't do that until they had the pay service ready. That's my only hang up for that, because they want to push the Virtual Console games as like a bonus for paying. But,
yeah, like I guess so, but you're gonna have to launch it eventually. Like,
yeah,
I just feel like that's a feature that should have launched with the Switch, and it didn't, and it doesn't make sense why they haven't given us any updates about it unless they were saving it for a big announcement for E3.
Which one do I feel especially confident about? Oh, this one. This was my prediction last year. It's my prediction again this year. They're going to show off that graphic with all the third parties on it to just show how much third party support they have, despite not having released any. They're just going to be like, look at all of our third parties, and they're going to put up the graphic, and it's going to be like the whole thing's just going to cover the screen. They're like, these are all of our third party sports. And have like Bethesda, and then it's going to be like, and we've got Activision and all of these things like. We've got so much third-party support. It's like it's pouring out of the Wii U and into the Switch. It's just going to be crazy. And they're going to show off that graphic again. It's going to be the same exact one that we've seen for the past 2 years or whatever. I just think that that's what we're gonna see it. And there's nothing different about it.
All right, I'm pretty much going to throw my list to the wind here and stop saying them in order of what I think will happen and just say kind of piggyback off what you just said. But I agree. I think we're going to see that list. And this encompasses everybody's press conference, not just Nintendo's. I think that you will see at most 5 major third-party games announced for the Switch. At most.
Like no more than that?
No more than that. No.
Okay. What number?
And when I say major, I don't like Just Dance, like 2018 or the Rabbids, game or whatever. But like I'm talking like Shadows of Mordor. I'm talking like an Assassin's Creed or something like that. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. What number was that? Was that 7 of that 7 predictions?
I don't know. I lost count, to be honest.
All right. Then we'll just go until we decide to stop.
Till we run out?
Sure. I can mix them up. I think that I had to specify on this one. I think that we're going to see a sizzle reel of upcoming games, but it's going to include Mario Odyssey and the Fate Extella game. And I know that I've been talking about that game a lot, and it doesn't make sense to a lot of people. First, I just love the Fate series. But if they wanted to show a game that could push the Switch the same way that Hyrule Warriors pushed the Wii U, that it'd be Fate Extella, because you're fighting huge waves of enemies in that game, kind of like in the Warriors game. So I think that they're going to show off in the sizzle reel. I don't necessarily think they're going to devote an entire thing to Fate. But we'll see Mario Odyssey in a scene and Fate Extella just because they want to remind people that game's coming out and that it's going to push the Switch just like the Warriors games pushed the Wii U.
Okay. I'm going to mesh 2 into 1 here. We're going to see a new game from Retro, see what game they've been working on, and that game will be a new Donkey Kong Country.
Like 2D side-scroller or 3D?
I think 2D side-scroller. I think that they've got the formula down. They got a good thing going. Tropical Freeze was really good. Returns was really good. So, I mean, most games like that come in 3s. The original Donkey Kong Country series came in 3s. So, I wouldn't be... I think it makes sense to make a new Donkey Kong Country game. It could probably be done relatively easy if they're reusing a lot of the same mechanics as the last games. And... it's going to be it'll be a big seller for Switch. It'll move systems for sure because Tropical Freeze was, it was a hit.
That's a vastly underrated game.
Even though it was stuck on Wii U. Yeah, it was awesome.
So good.
Yeah, or even I would say even I think this is far less likely, but a port of Tropical Freeze.
I think that we're going to see Fire Emblem Warriors shown off, like actual footage from the game. I think they'll talk about that. I'm skeptical to say that they're going to talk about Fire Emblem, because I don't think
so. I think that's next year.
Yeah, I think they'll do that in a direct. I think that we're going to see Fire Emblem Warriors shown off, mostly because it seems more far along in development than the new Fire Emblem game. and they're pushing back Fire Emblem till 2018. So I think they want to focus on whatever's coming up soon. So you've got like stuff like Fate Extella and Mario Odyssey and all Splatoon 2. We're going to see those games that are coming out within this fiscal year, but we're not going to see a lot from games that are coming out in 2018. So I'm thinking Fire Emblem Warriors, not Fire Emblem.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, speaking of, this is a game that won't be coming out in 2017. I think that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 gets delayed until 2018.
See, my prediction is the opposite of that. I think that they're going to show off the game, and they're going to announce a release date for this year for Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Are you thinking like around Christmas for that?
I don't know the date. I just know that they're going to get the game out this year. Or
so
that they want
Chronicles
to get
X launched in December of 2015? Yeah.
But they want to get the game out this year. And I assume they've been working on it for a while. If they've been able to show off as much as they have. It's just they're so insistent on getting it out this year. I think we're going to see it at E3, and then we're going to get a release date for this year.
I don't know. From what I saw, it just looked like it was really early. Like they basically just had a lot of concept art. They didn't even have footage to show us by and large at the Switch presentation. So
well, even if they delay it, I'm saying that we're going to get a release date for this year.
Okay, I'm thinking 2018. I hope I'm wrong actually, because I really want to play that. But
they're going to give us a definitive release date, even though it may be pushed back. They're going to give us a release date for Xenoblade Chronicles 2 for sometime this year. That's my prediction for that game.
Okay. You will see at least one first-party title for the 3DS announced by Nintendo. They're not giving up on that thing yet.
Yeah.
So it'll probably be a Kirby game because they just flood the market with Kirby games whenever there's a gap.
So you're not talking about like games that have already been announced, like they're going to announce a new game for the 3DS?
Yeah, they're going to announce a new game, kind of like in the vein of Fire Emblem Echoes.
Okay. I think that they're going to show off their Nindies, the Nintendo Indies again. They're going to devote maybe like a 5-minute segment. I'm not going to be specific on time. But they're going to devote a segment to talking about, we've got this, so an Axiom Verge or whatever is coming out again on the Switch. And aren't we so great for having all these indie developers on here? They're just going to bloat their own ego with the independent developers and talk about how great it's doing. Or we're just going to see that.
There's a game that I'm really interested in called Hollow Knight, actually, that I really hope that they show off. It's a Metroidvania. It looks really cool. It kind of looks like a Tim Burton movie, but like a 2D side scroller. So if we're gonna have to sit through an Indies thing, I hope it's that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've only got a few left. So I think we're gonna see Joy-Cons released with classic controller color schemes. That was kind of out there. That's like kind of a wish of mine, but I think it'll happen. Maybe not all of them at once, but even if it's one, like the NES color scheme, I think that would be... I don't think that would be, like, completely unrealistic.
I'm hesitant on this one. Because we know that in the East, they're getting a Monster Hunter XX bundle with the special edition, like, dock or Switch or whatever. And they've been very skeptical to release bundles for the Switch, but I think that we're going to see some sort of bundle for Switch and Super Mario Odyssey. And they'll talk about that. When they talk about Super Mario Odyssey, they're going to be like, oh, we've got Super Mario Odyssey, but also for the holiday season, we're going to be releasing a special Super Mario Odyssey Switch bundle where you can get the game and the console all at once, because they're going to push that thing like crazy whenever it comes to Christmas. Sure. And so they're going to release a bundle for that. No doubt in my mind about that. I don't want to be specific on the type of bundle, if it's a special edition. I just know that they're going to bundle those two games.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I could see them releasing a special edition Switch for that. But I think, I think that definitely makes sense, especially if we're thinking that it releases around Black Friday.
Yeah.
So this is my last one, and it's kind of a 2-for-1 punch. But going back to Virtual Console for a second, and this is kind of dreaming. right here. But the first punch is that GameCube games are going to be on Virtual Console. There's going to be Melee. There's going to be Sunshine. There's going to be Star Fox Adventure. There's going to be all those good games. And I don't know how they're going to do this, but maybe with your linked Nintendo account or something. If you've bought a game before, you can download it for free on the Virtual Console. I'm gonna throw that out there.
That is a pipe dream, my friend.
I know. That's a pipe dream right up there with like a new Metroid being announced. But you know what? I don't care. I'm gonna throw it out there, and yeah. If you've bought Super Mario World like 10 times, you don't have to buy it in 11th.
See, I just had one in my head. Oh, this is crazy. And this is just something that's not going to happen. I don't believe that this is going to happen, but I had to make up a last one. I think we're going to see an Ocarina of Time remaster for the Switch. Not a re-release.
I don't know about that.
Not like for the Virtual Console. They're going to release an updated version of Ocarina of Time for the Switch. I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't know about that.
That's kind of a pipe dream of mine, like you were talking about. Like I think that
it's so close to Ocarina of Time 3D.
I mean, not entirely, but I just I was thinking about this the other day. I was listening to the Hero of Time soundtrack by Eric Buckles, and I was just like, this would I really want to play Ocarina of Time again, but I want to play it on the TV. And I don't have my Wii anymore. My sister has it. And I never bought it for the Wii U. But I would buy an updated remaster of Ocarina of Time for the Switch. Wouldn't even be a question in my mind about that. They could get amiibo support for it.
Too.
And they could even put the Master Quest in there, put some of the other levels in there. I don't know what they do. I just, again, I'm pretty much handing you a win on that one. But I think that we're gonna see.
I think that's right up there with the free transfer of all your eShop games.
I hope we see one. I don't think we will. I really hope we do. So that's my prediction, is that we're gonna see one.
Okay. So my official predictions are done. Here's just a few stray thoughts that I think that might happen. I think that there might be, and I don't feel confident enough in these saying that they will happen or whatever, or I don't feel strongly enough about them to say that they will. But I think that there's a decent chance that there might be a Bravely Default game announced for Switch.
Maybe.
And I think that they'll spend a lot of time yakking about ARMS and the competitive. They'll probably run a tournament or something like that, the day before E3.
I really hope they don't spend E3 talking about ARMS.
I hope they don't either. I think they'll kind of do their own tournament thing like they did a few years ago with Smash, because I think they had the bracket the day before or something like that. And
when they had when the Wii U version came out and they had all the top players come out and play it.
Yeah, exactly. So I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that with ARMS and with Splatoon, but specifically ARMS, it seems like they're trying to push that to be their next big franchise. Yeah, why they're pushing that instead of Metroid, I don't know, but I think that I think that you're going to have to suffer through some stuff about ARMS. Maybe that's kind of being unfair to ARMS, but I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me.
I don't know. I'm at the same thing. It's for me, I don't really want to pay full price for that game, full MSRP. No. I didn't get to play the demo. I'll probably play it this weekend maybe, if I have time. But it just doesn't jump out to me as a game that's oh, this looks so cool. It's got this, it's definitely worth the $60. I'm not knocking Overwatch at all, but I paid $30 for that game, and I've had so much fun with that game in the year it's been out. I'm still playing it. Granted.
Yeah, see, that thing is, I was at EB today, and ARMS is $80, and I'm I don't think so, maybe if I hear a bunch of people talk about what a blast it is to play, I heard a lot of people say how fun Snipper Clips was. And so I downloaded it, and that game actually, it is a blast. And it's probably not something I would have ever downloaded if I hadn't had that positive word of mouth. But even then, Snipper Clips was $25 versus $80 for ARMS.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know, and just the competitive kind of fighters, and I use that term loosely, aren't really my thing. I play Smash for fun rather than to, be super serious about it. So
yeah, and I mean, even for it's weird because Splatoon appeals to me more than ARMS does, and they're both in a similar vein because Splatoon just like relies heavily on multiplayer on online. It had a story mode, or an adventure mode. The story was a little lackluster there, but for some reason that game provided a lot of enjoyment for me. I'm not playing it now, mostly because the Wii U is like going from the Switch back to the Wii U is really difficult because it's such a clunky piece of technology. But I'm just saying, like, if I had to have looking back on it now, knowing what I know now about Overwatch and how much fun it is, I would have paid the $60 for the Origin Edition, which is what everybody that bought it on console got. Like, they got the special skins and whatnot. I just bought it for $30 because I was like, hey, look, Overwatch is $30 on Battle.net, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that when it came out. I think I pre-ordered it or something. I don't regret that. It's probably one of my favorite multiplayer games right now. And I've had a blast with it. I think it's actually. You know what
I just thought? It's funny that Nintendo didn't use Punch-Out instead of ARMS, because they're kind of like fundamentally the same. You could have easily made that a Punch-Out game with some, like, I don't know, a futuristic Punch-Out or something, or maybe you see Little Mac as like DLC in the future or something. But I never realized how kind of similar those games are.
I'd see the Little Mac DLC more because I don't think that I think they wanted a new IP. I don't think they wanted to rehash an old one, which I understand. Like, when you think of Punch-Out, you don't think of like a blow away IP. You're not like, oh gosh, I'm going to buy this game or this system specifically for Punch-Out.
They either need to have like Little Mac as DLC or Inspector Gadget as DLC, because like he would rock in that game. I'd probably buy it if there was Gadget DLC.
It's just I have a hard time justifying a $60 price tag on that kind of a game, especially knowing what we know about the Switch's online and how heavy the online presence is supposed to be in this game.
The other thing too is like those free games that they offer you. When I was looking at this, I didn't mention it earlier, but like the free games are like Balloon Fight and Dr. Mario, and just like these NES garbage games. Like, you know, like you can play Tomb Raider or Darksiders or whatever for free, Beyond Good and Evil for free, but like, you know, and this thing you get like Tetris or whatever. Like, ooh, I can get Tetris on my phone. T83 calculator, you know, like
you want to go back and play Balloon Fighter, play it on Animal Crossing for the GameCube.
Like really.
I don't know. Nintendo's a lot of catching up to do for online. I don't think they'll ever get there. But that's just the way that they're going to play it. I don't know why. I really hope they reverse course between now and 2018. I don't think they will. I just really hope they do.
I'm not optimistic.
No.
The only time I can ever remember Nintendo reversing course is when they slashed the price of the 3DS.
And then did the whole ambassador program thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That really wasn't a reversing course. That was more like, oh, we're sorry for screwing
That
people.
was more like the panic button being pushed, but like that's the only time I can remember them not sticking to their guns about something.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily that they reversed course on that either. They were just like, we owe you guys something for the extra money you paid and for being early adopters, as opposed to the Switch, where it's just like, we either go with crappy internet or we try to figure something better out. And I just don't think that they're going to pick something better out. I think that they're stuck with this because this is what they have in mind. I just can't fathom how they came up with this idea or why they came up with it. Like, even in my darkest days, I couldn't sit around and think of something this stupid. So it's just it blows my mind. But this E3 is going to be interesting, especially because it's only half an hour.
That in itself is pretty strange.
They're going to have to cram a lot of stuff in there, or they're only going to have like maybe 10 things that they're going to talk about. Which sucks.
And I figure like Super Mario Odyssey is going to take up a big portion of that. So they're really going to have to cram in there. Because you got to figure like Super Mario Odyssey's got to be like, I don't know, like at least 10 minutes, I would think.
I feel like we're going to see a quote-unquote story trailer, whatever that is. Like, kind of think about the trailer for Super Mario World for the Wii U or whatever it was. Just that kind of like a story. And then we'll see gameplay, and then we'll talk about it. And then we're going to have treehouse footage afterwards of them playing Super Mario Odyssey and their awful gaming. I don't know. it's just interesting. I haven't. I
You know,
don't.
the Treehouse guys try like pretty hard, but it is tough to watch, especially when you get like the developers playing, because there's always a translator in between, and you don't get that flow of conversation, and it's just really weird. You can tell that like, you know, there's always something lost in translation there. It's just it's okay when like Bill Trinan is playing. But it's tough to watch those because you don't get that nice flow that you need kind of like between the two guys talking and whatever about it. Maybe that's just me, but
No, I agree. It's interesting how they handle E3, how they've been handling E3. I honestly thought that they would change course on directs based on the Switch conference, and just be like, okay, at E3 this year we're gonna have an actual press conference where people can give we can hear audience feedback and stuff. And when we're going to take a risk, because those press conferences are risks. Because I remember, like this is going to be something that I will always remember, is going to see the PlayStation E3 in a theater, and how they broadcasted it, and being in the audience, listening to people react to games, like seeing the Spider-Man game and hearing people cheer, or God of War. When they announced all these things, even showed off Horizon Zero Dawn, how excited the crowd was, and the energy for that. You don't get that with a direct. You don't hear cheers. You don't hear people get excited. It's just kind of like one person talking with a white background, and that's it.
I mean, what's the greatest E3 moment that you can think of? For me, Twilight Princess. That place went crazy when they announced that. So I don't mind the direct. I'm actually I'm okay with it, but because it's at least a little bit more polished and less awkward and whatever. But there's definitely some drawbacks to it, and the fan interaction is one of them. Because man, I would have loved to see a live crowd reacting to Breath of the Wild's trailer last year. Even when you saw the video footage of the crowd after the trailer, that final amazing trailer at the Switch presentation where it said the release date for it, people were going crazy in Nintendo New York and stuff. That would have been cool to see live.
I understand why. Like I said, it's less risk, more reward. The problem with that is the less risk you get, the less rewards you get. I know that there's still a reward for them, we can rehearse this and we can plan it and nothing can go wrong. And I think that the reason why they're so scared of it is because of how the Skyward Sword tech demo went. And that was a great E3. It was fantastic. I loved the full orchestra starting off the show. That was great. I loved that. You asked what my favorite moment was.
Pretty much the reason why I don't think they're going to be doing that for a long time.
Yeah, I think it's because
directs are going to be here to stay.
They're so scared of something going wrong and people remembering that they're not going to do anything about it. The problem is that that's the last press conference they had at E3, so that's the thing people are going to remember. They didn't give themselves a chance to one up that presentation. They were like, "Oh crap, we screwed up. We can't do that again. No more press conferences." I don't know.
It's kind of like not having voice chat because you're afraid someone might swear.
Oh yeah.
Oh
well.
So there's our predictions.
Yep. I'll let you. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to watch E3, but I'll let you watch it and count which predictions we got right and wrong, and then we'll meet back after that. But we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Enjoy E3. Enjoy life. Be good to each other.
Go Team Nintendo.
Yeah.
Team Switch.
For however long it lasts.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, guys. Wish Alfred well on his honeymoon.
Yep. See you guys. Bye.
See you guys.